cracks open that kitchen window, coffee steam, biscuits in the pan.
Mama hums grace while the radio rattles, boots on the breakfast table, hurry if you can.
Kids tug on jeans, chasing their lunches, arguing over who feeds what. Y'all grab them buckets, daylight's burning, granddad laughs, this place is all we've got. This is ranch life rhythm, hear that gravel choir, old truck coughing prayers through a barbed wire fight. Boots on the breakfast table, dust laid bare. Morning breaks hard, but the face still there. Hands up high, hearts in the hay. We pull our weight, we earn our way. Long days, early mornings, right or wrong. Grit in our bones, where the good Lord's strong. We're right where we're meant to be. Yeah, that boots on the table life fits us perfectly. Fence line leaning, post hole digging, rust red dirt in every crease. Little girl riding on a feed sack wagon, waving at the heifers like a Saturday parade down Main Street.
Sunday clothes hanging by the back door, Bible marked with names and years. We bow our heads neath the wide sky steeple, praying over rain and over brand new steers.
This is ranch life rhythm, hear that gravel choir, old truck coughing prayers through a barbed wire fire. Boots on the breakfast table, dust laid bare. Morning breaks hard, but the face still there. Hands up high, hearts in the hay. We pull our weight, we earn our way. Long days, early mornings, right or wrong. Grit in our bones, where the good Lord's strong. We're right where we're meant to be. Lightning bugs float by the hand gate, supper plates scraping, boy, you're late. We pass the beans, we pass the tales of busted knuckles and wind whip trails. We laugh so hard that the chair legs dance, thanking heaven for another chance to rise with the rooster right through the dawn. As long as these old hills keep holding on. This is ranch life. This is ranch life. This is ranch life. This is ranch life.
Yeah, yeah.
Grandma's got her Bible and a coffee can of seeds, sitting in that old lawn chair telling us what this place needs. Not another angry promise from a face on a TV screen, just neighbors in a circle talking about what freedom means. 'Cause round this campfire we all get a say. Red hat, blue shirt, still praying for the same new day. We pass that old guitar and the jar of sweet iced tea. You and me, we might disagree, but we're still one family. That's a campfire kind of freedom. That's the way it ought to be.
This is Beyond the Fence Line with Joseph Kibler. No script, no spin, no permission needed. Just honest commentary, hard truth, and real conversations that most people won't touch. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs people willing to step outside the narrative and think for themselves. So if you're ready to stop being told what to think and start asking better questions.
Here you go. Hey, hey, hey. What day is it? I guess it's Wednesday, April 29th. Good to see you all today. Welcome to Beyond the Fence Line. Good morning, everybody. Where we have honest commentary, hard truth, and real conversations. Today, Well, first of all, as you guys can see, I'm still coming to you from Denver. I'm in the hospital still with my daughter. Hopefully, she's doing better in a lot of ways, but also kind of hit and miss on some of her numbers and things. So, anyways, continue appreciate your continued prayers and stuff like that. But today we are starting our county by county tour. That's right. We're gonna name names. We're gonna talk about candidates running for office. We're gonna talk about their records. People that we need to be watching in 2026. And by the way, if you're watching this and you're like, Joseph, we need to run to replace these folks, I want to help you. Today, we're going to be talking about Laramie County, Goshen, and Platte Counties today regarding folks that we've got to send packing in 2026. I'm going to talk about Laramie County commissioners. I'm going to talk about Laramie County House representatives, Senate representatives. Folks, these people that are running with an R after their name, but they are not conservative. They're not how they vote. These are nice people. These are people that talk well. Before we even get started, I want to set the framework for our county by county tour. All right. So before we start clutching pearls, so hard that they accidentally create a diamond, let's say something really clearly. This is not about personal attacks. This is not about whether someone is nice at church or friendly at the grocery store or waves at parades or can shake your hand at a pancake breakfast like they train for it at the political Olympics. All right, folks? This is not about those things. We're going to look at the facts, what these people say, what they do, how they vote. And sure, you know what? I know a lot of these people. A lot of these people that I'm going to talk about today, I've met them. I know them personally. I've had conversations with them. They're nice people. They're nice folks, but that's not the question today. It's not, are they pleasant in public? Do they speak nicely? Do they say the right things? The question is, are they representing the people or are they protecting the system? Are they loving bureaucracy? Because, public office is not a lifetime achievement, folks. It's not a lifetime award. It shouldn't be a social club. It's not a reserved parking lot with better snacks. Okay? It's definitely not something you get to keep just because everybody knows your name and the same 10 insiders keep endorsing you. Okay? So public office belongs to the people. And if we're going to be serious about 26, then we have to be willing to look at records, not rumors, not gossip. You know what? Not the personal garbage. Not my cousin, neighbor's farrier heard from a guy at the feed store. No, we're going to talk about records, voting, priorities, patterns, lives. This is how adults do it, folks. This is how citizens do it. This is how free people do it. Because Wyoming does not need more political maintenance. We've had enough maintenance. At some point, government looks, well, how do I describe this? Like an old ranch truck held together by duct tape and baling wire. And one guy just says, you know what? Nah, it'll make it another year. You know what, folks? We can't go another year like this. It's time to look under the hood. So grab your coffee, buckle up, hide your pearls. Let's get into it. We're going to talk today about Laramie County candidates. We're going to talk about Goshen, Platte counties. And I'm going to focus not on the folks who are doing a decent job. And maybe I should do that. You know what? And I will post about some of them. I will absolutely do that. But I am going to focus on the folks that we have absolutely got to replace in 26. And if no one is challenging them, if you're watching this, I want to challenge you. Run for office. Challenge them. Challenge them. I want you guys to do that and to do that well. So I'm going to go ahead and share a screen here real quick because we're going to be looking at this together. Okay, so actually let me figure out what the best view for you guys is going to be. Let me see. Okay, if I do that, you guys could kind of see what's going on. Now, that's not super great. Let me try this. Okay. Let me see what the best way to do this is going to be. Yeah, you know what? I'll just put myself in the corner. Okay, so here's the deal, guys. We are going to talk about, first I'm going to start out with Laramie County. I'm going to start out with Laramie County Commissioners. That's the first thing I'm going to start out with. Let me stop sharing my screen real quick so that I can actually just go ahead and talk about this. So we're going to talk first about Laramie County Commissioners. We have 3 commissioners up for a re-election this year: Gunnar Mom, Troy Thompson, Lindy Heath. Folks, I know some of these people well. I don't know some others of these people well, but I see what they do. I see how Laramie County residents are having to fight the county commission in so many different ways to really keep their freedoms. And this goes back even about a year ago, a little more than a year ago, when we were fighting these home occupation permits. By the way, every single one of these people, Linda Heath, Gunnar Mom, Troy Thompson, they all have a deep interest in supporting bureaucracy and curtailing or controlling your personal freedoms and rights. They've proven this in the way that they vote, the way that they believe, the way that they conduct themselves, the things that they want to do in the county, where you as a citizen are not their first priority. And they will tell you something different. They may act a different way, but the way that they vote makes it very, very, very clear. So Linda Heath, Gunnar Mom, Troy Thompson, we need to replace all 3 of these county commissioners and get back to grassroots government where citizens are the ones that are in control of their government. You know, why aren't they standing up for Wild Fresh against the city council and this annexation, this destruction of lives? They're not, because they're not representatives of the people. In fact, what the biggest difference I believe, between let's call it a true conservative and a non-conservative that runs with a Republican, an R after their name, is this: they love bureaucracy. You know what? They might be pro-life, they might be pro-gun, they might be pro-free speech. But boy, when it comes to bureaucracy, their answer for everything is more government, more spending, more taxes. And that's why we have got to replace. So if you're in Laramie County and you're thinking about running for office, run for one of these 3 county commissioner seats. And on that note, if you are running to beat these establishment candidates, I will support you. Reach out to me. I'll do everything I can with the gifts, skills that I have from a media and marketing standpoint to help you beat these candidates in the November election. We've got to do this, folks. But now let's get into our Wyoming legislature. Let's talk about Laramie County, Goshen, Platte Counties, representatives in both the House and the Senate by name. And let's look at these folks' voting records. Guys, again, I'm not going to get into the weeds. Again, a lot of these people, they're nice people. I like them. I don't have anything against them. But the problem that I have is when they go to represent the people, the things that they do or say are different than the things that they do in the way that they vote. Some of these people are really practical. They've got a lot of common sense, and they say a lot of great things. But when you look at how they vote, they're not for you, the people. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and start pulling up. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I'm going to share a bunch of different sites with you guys. I encourage you, if you're watching this show, go do your own research. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen here. And we're going to go over a whole bunch of websites. And we're going to talk about how these folks vote and how they've represented the Constitution of the United States. That's really important to me, because guess what? I'm going to just show you something real quick. It is possible. I'm going to go down to Ken Pendergraft here because he's a good example. It is possible, guess what, to be a representative of the people and to, guess what, vote the Constitution. He can vote the Constitution and can also be a really, really great conservative at the same time. And we don't have a lot of representatives to do that. So we're going to start with Laramie County, and we're going to go ahead and start with Lee Filer. All right, so let's go up here. So just so you guys know, this is the Freedom Index. This is how someone votes when it comes to pure constitutional values. Here you go, Representative Lee Filer. Now, granted, he's not got a ton of terms in front of him, but it's not looking good from a constitutional standpoint. Okay, his freedom score is 20. Okay, so Representative Lee Filer, Laramie County, not a conservative, folks. If we go ahead and go over here to evidence-based Wyoming, let's take a look at where Lee Filer falls on his voting record. All right, he's down here in this section where he's considered a liberal. Lee Filer should probably run as a Democrat based on his votes. That's the way it should be. Okay? He votes with Republicans 30% of the time. Guys, there's lots of resources out there where you can go ahead and look and find out about these representatives and find out, are they conservative? Are they constitutional? Because to me, that's, if I'm going to say one thing, like, if we're going to put anything before anything else, obviously representing, they're representing your people, right? Representing the people. It would be this. Are they constitutional? Are they constitutional? I think that is so important. And I think that really, really matters when it comes to constitutionality. I really do. I think it matters. So, Representative Lee Filer his voting record so far has shown that he is not a conservative. He's not, he votes liberal. Look at this. So this is an important one for me. Funding of government associations and lobbyists with your tax dollars. Well, all of these folks want that to happen where you're not funding it anymore. All of these folks want to continue funding lobbyists. They want to continue funding associations with your tax dollars. All right, that's how they voted. So you guys, who's running? Who's running in District 44 to beat this establishment candidate, to beat Lee Filer, who doesn't vote the Constitution, doesn't vote in favor of the people? Maybe, decent guy. I've met him. I've talked to him a few times. But is he conservative? You know what? I would be fine with Lee Filer if he go ahead and just run and just put a D after his name. Run as a Democrat. If that's your representation, if that's your constituents, be honest with the people of Wyoming and say, you know what? I'm going to run as a Democrat. And you know what? If your constituents are Democrats, great. They vote for you. You get your seat in the House. But run that way. Do that. Next person is going to be District 42, Rob Geringer. Now, I've never met Rob Geringer, just so you guys know. But we'll go ahead and take a look at his voting record as it pertains to the Constitution. Again, a score of 33 out of 100. Okay, now he's got one session in front of him, so not a huge session. So probably, we can't. It's tough to cast judgment in one session, but we can look at what happened this session and go, okay, well, he didn't really vote the Constitution. He didn't vote the Constitution. Let's go take a look at where Mr. Geringer falls. Now, he might fall, let's see, he falls here in the moderate, so he's somewhere down the middle. Again, we've only got one voting record with him right now, so he falls right here in the middle. House District 42, we'd like someone more conservative than him in the office, in that spot. Okay, so yeah, Mr. Geringer, let's see, where did he vote? He also likes taxpayer funding for lobbyists. He likes taxpayer funding for government associations. All right, so again, probably not conservative. Again, run as a Democrat if you're a Democrat. Totally fine with that. Let's go to Mr. Landon Brown. Now, he's got a voting record, right? So we can go take a look at Mr. Landon. By the way, this is House District 9, and he has announced that he's running again. Folks, he's not a conservative, okay? Running as a Republican, but he's got a very, very nice, long voting record, folks. All the way from 2021, does not vote the Constitution. Landon would do, again, be honest. Run as a Democrat. So we can run a Republican. So I want to know who in Laramie County is gonna run against Landon Brown, and go ahead and let's see if we can go ahead and unseat him. He's not a conservative, not conservative values. Mr. Landon doesn't vote the Constitution. Let's see, and he also falls down here. Look at liberal on evidence-based Wyoming. Great website, by the way, you guys. You guys take a look at that. Should run as a Democrat. Really, really should. Okay, he's considered one of the more liberal candidates. And my guess, if I had to guess, yes, he likes government funding for associations and lobbyists. And by the way, I'm just using that as an example. All right, so House District 09. How about House District 07, Mr. Bob Nicholas? By the way, you guys can look at these websites. In fact, maybe I'll post these. I'll post some of these links for you guys down below so that you guys can find some of this stuff. I'll post these links to finding your districts, stuff like that. Also, you could look at the Freedom Index. Take a look at that. I'll go ahead and post that below here as well, so that you guys can take a look at that. So let's look at Mr. Bob Nicholas. He's the next guy that we're looking at. I'll also put in evidence-based Wyoming. I'll go ahead and put these links down below for you guys so you guys can find these. Look up your candidates. See how they were. And some of you may be like, well, that's what I sent him to do. You know what? That's fine. If you voted for him, for your candidates to be liberal and not conservative, but see, the problem is these folks aren't Republicans. All right? They're not being honest with who they are. So let's look at Mr. Bob Nicholas, House District number 7. Let's look at Mr. Bob Nicholas here. Let me get down here. These are in alphabetical order. So, again, constitutional score of 35, and he's got a great, big, long record. He's basically the same as Landon Brown, folks. Not a Republican. He's a Democrat. He votes Democrat. He's not a Republican. Do we want to put a Republican in House District 7? Let's get a conservative to run against him. I'd love to help you. I'd love to support you. Okay, Mr. Bob Nicholas, I believe he was down here. Look at this. He's down there with Julie Jarvis, by the way, who gets a 0 for the Constitution. Congratulations to Miss Julie Jarvis for having the lowest ranking of all House members, of absolutely all House members. Go figure on that. She gets a 0 for being constitutional. So there you go. So Mr. Bob Nicholas, ranking down there again, right above Democrats. These folks should be honest. They should run as Democrats in their districts. And you know what? Maybe they'll win. Get your Democrats to also register Democrat and do it the right way. Be honest with the people of Wyoming and say that you're a Democrat if you're a Democrat. Okay, because your voting record says that. Your voting record says that you're not a conservative. You're not even a constitutionalist. You don't vote the Constitution. I mean, Mr. Nicholas here, with all respect to him, he has 5 years of voting records. And he doesn't vote on a lot of stuff. You can see he didn't even cast votes on a bunch of stuff here. He does not vote the Constitution of the United States. At all. At all. Very little. 33% of the time. And he runs here in the pack with the liberals. And, of course, he likes your taxpayer funding for lobbyists as well. So make the decision. Folks, if you're in House District number 7 with Mr. Bob Nicholas, somebody conservative run. Let's support you. Let's unseat this establishment candidate that's not even a Republican to begin with. It's dishonest. Okay, the next House District we're going to look at, Laramie County, is House District number 10. Mr. Justin Forstrom. Let's take a look at Mr. Justin Forstrom here. All right, again, running as a Republican. Okay, running as a Republican. All right, we're getting there to the F's here. I don't know, for some reason, I am not seeing Justin here. I'm not sure why. Let me take a look here real quick. Let me see if he's not here in the Freedom Index. All right, for some reason, I don't have Justin's Freedom Index, but we could take a look at Justin's ranking here real quick on evidence-based Wyoming for sure. again, falls into the top of that liberal category based on how he votes. Okay, and this is just black and white, how he votes, how he's proven his votes. All right. He's most like these Democrats over here, these folks that vote Democrat, right? At least like some of these conservative folks on the right hand side. All right. And he's got a voting record to prove that. This isn't me picking, sure, we could look at Wild Rhino, right? We could look at Wild Rhino and take a look at that. I know a lot of people don't like that website. But the bottom line is if you look at evidence-based Wyoming and how this Republican votes, you can see it's not conservative. Not conservative. So House District 10. Who are we going to run in House District 10, everybody? We need to run somebody. This next one, I like this guy. First of all, I like J.D. Williams. I like him a whole bunch. He's got more common sense than most people in the legislature. Just being real, being honest with the things that he says, the things that he does. And I like him a whole bunch. I do. I really, really do. I like him. But he does not, he's running with an R after his name. He's the representative for Goshen, Nairobi, and Weston counties, right? In the House District. He's well liked. Okay. He is. But guys, he's not conservative, Mr. J.D. Williams. In fact, look at his constitutional score down here, 14. He's got a big record, a nice long record. Well, not a long record, but he's got some record here, and he's a practical guy. He's got a lot of common sense, but he doesn't vote conservative. He's got an R after his name, folks, but he doesn't vote conservative. Okay, he just doesn't. And if we go ahead and look at evidence-based Wyoming, Mr. J.D. Williams comes way down here into the liberal column, right below Justin and Lee. Folks, just because we like someone and they have an R after their name, if we want to vote conservative values, we want to get smaller government, we want to get to that point where our government is representative of the people, then we've got to go ahead and we can see, so we can see that JD actually started out pretty conservative at the core here in the beginning. Then kind of ended up being more moderate, okay, here in the middle, and then ended up being more progressive in the way that he approached things. And that may be his personal political journey, and that's perfectly fine. I've got no issue with that. But he doesn't vote the Constitution, folks. And it doesn't make him conservative. He ought to go ahead and run as a Democrat. No problem with that. But this is just, again, this is how he votes. Like him as a person. In fact, he's one of my favorite, I might argue he's one of my favorite legislators in the House of Representatives. And I'm being honest about that. Because he communicates well with the people. He informs and educates. And a lot of legislators don't do that. In fact, most of them don't. They don't do it at all. And so I really like that about Mr. Williams. But he doesn't vote conservative. He likes government. He thinks government, bureaucracy, higher taxes, more taxes are the answer for things. And so that's just the truth. That's just what's going on there, folks. Okay, now let's hop over to the Senate. So let's hop over now. We're going to hop over to the Senate, Laramie County, Goshen, Platte Counties here real quick. So let me hop this back over here. And by the way, Mr. Daniel Singh, I believe, is running for this seat now against Evie Brennan. So let's take a look at Evie Brennan here. She votes a bit more constitutional. That's great. That's really, really good. We like to see that. Let me go ahead and switch over here to the Senate real quick. Let's see where she falls when it comes to conservative values here on evidence-based Wyoming. She falls, her position here, she does not vote super, super conservative, but she does do a better job from a constitutional standpoint. We don't know how EV thinks about lobbyists and associations because this was a bill in the House. Okay. Rhino, what does Rhino have to say about EB here? Look, Rhino says she gets a 0 for voting for conservative values, folks. So I think we look at evidence-based Wyoming. We go, she's probably not a conservative, although she does do a little bit better on the Constitution. And I really, really like that she does do a little bit better on the Constitution. But again, Mr. Daniel Singh would probably be a little bit more conservative for that seat, for that Senate seat there in Senate District 31. Tara Nethercott, who happens to be my representative, in my district. Let me get back over here. Not conservative, not constitutional. I'd love to see someone challenge her. Smart lady, okay? Votes the Constitution maybe about 50% of the time. I think she's a good person. Again, this is not about beating up personalities. They're very likable people, okay? But look at this. Look at this evolution here, voting constitutional values. You know what? I could personally tolerate a 70%, right? I could probably be okay with that. But you gotta vote the Constitution, folks. You've gotta vote the Constitution. Let's get over here to the Senate. And she also she does not, she's liberal in her voting record in the Senate. Okay, so she does. I love to see a true, valuable conservative get into that district. By the way, that Senate district number 4, my district. We need someone to stand in the gap here. So run, and I'll help you out. Love to see you do that. Okay, because again, not conservative in name only. Should likely run as a Democrat. Look at her record. She's got a record here. Okay, we can see that she's mostly been part of the Progressive Caucus, sometimes the Moderate Coalition, liberal, but she's always stayed pretty consistent, on how she votes. And now she's been in office a long time. And you know what? Maybe my district is more liberal, and that's okay. If that represents the people in my district, now it doesn't represent me because you guys know I'm a conservative, but if that's representative of people in the district, I think I need to be okay with that. I would love to see a conservative candidate unseat her and do that. She's not conservative. I would argue, based on her voting record, she might need to she could probably run as a Democrat. Quite possibly, and do that. Okay, let's look now at Senate District in Laramie number 8, Mr. Jared Olson. Okay, let's pull that up. Let me get back here real quick. If I know my alphabet here, I should be able to do this pretty well. Again, scores under 50% when it comes to the Constitution, and has been. So overall, just scores 46 on the U.S. Constitution. By the way, you guys, if you're just joining the show, I did post the links to these resource websites, to Freedom Index, Evidence-Based Wyoming, so that you could take a look at that and make decisions for yourself. And by the way, if this is what you want out of your Republican conservative representatives, then I guess that is your prerogative. It's not what I want. It's not what I want. Mr. Olson also, let's see, where does he fall here? We're looking at Senate District number 8, Jared Olson. I might have missed him. All right, again, kind of falls in this liberal category of this voting record. Let's see. Also, according to Wild Rhino, just not conservative. And again, I don't put, by the way, I don't put all my stake in Wild Rhino, by the way. But I think when you pull together the data from all of these sites, right? You pulled the Freedom Index, Evidence Based Wyoming, how they voted in the legislature, WYO Action, WYO Rhino. When you pull together all of these resources, you should be able to make at least an educated decision. So, who's running to replace Senate District Number 8, Laramie County? Let's get that going. Let's do that. Now, this last one I'm going to talk about, actually, he's not running anymore. I think Mr. Reiner has actually said he's running for his seat. Again, we need to put someone in this district, and that is Stephen Pappas, Senate District Number 7, runs as a Republican. Look at his constitutional freedom score, his voting record, 30%. Does not vote the Constitution of the United States. Does not vote the Constitution. Let's take a look at he's also at the top of the very liberal category in the Senate. I think Mr. Reiner from the Cheyenne City Council is running for his seat. Also, would be exactly the same as this. These folks shouldn't run as Republicans. They should run as Democrats based on their votes, based on what they believe. They should run as Democrats. So, Senator said we need a conservative to run in Senate District 8. Sorry, Senate District, no, yeah, Senate District 7. We need a conservative to run there. We need one. So who's running? Who's going to run? Go ahead, run for office. I'd love to help you out, support you. We're going to beat out these establishment candidates, Laramie County. The last one was appointed Mr. Taft. I'm going to get up to Mr. Taft here. If I know my alphabet, I should be. I wonder if he would be on here or not. I don't think he is because he was a special appointment. Yeah, they did not add him to here. So we'll just take a look here on the website and see where Mr. Taft fell in here. Also ended up very obviously we don't have a ton of voting record with him right now, but as you can see, Mr. Taft was a special appointment. I actually was more in favor of Jeff Barnes when in this particular election, but Taft is going to be up for election because he was specially appointed. Well, of course, all legislators come up every 2 years, but he did not vote conservative this last session, his first go around. And let's kind of take a look here. So kind of moderate. Looks like he was a pork barrier, stalwart liberal. Okay, so he did. Let's see. He voted with his party 93% of the time. He breaks sharply from fiscal conservatism. So again, something to take a look at, that Senate district. I mean, maybe we need to give the guy a little bit more of a chance. We don't have a ton of information on how he would vote, but this is what we do have regarding his short stint here in saying, and Wild Rhino says 10%. For what that's worth. He did not go very closely with conservative Republican values. I don't have information on he didn't get added to the Freedom Index this year. I would be interested to see where he falls on that. So that's Laramie and Platte, some Goshen County. Again, I'm going to mention these names again, and then I will probably start posting these up on my page so that you guys know who's who and what's what. These are the folks. We need conservative people to challenge these folks by the middle of May, right, when you've got to register, unless you're going to run for the Constitution Party or run unaffiliated, run independent, run against these establishment candidates or these Republicans that say they're Republicans, but they're really Democrats. That's the bottom line. Run with them. And by the way, just reminding you guys, I'm happy to help you, support you. I'll have you on my show. We could figure out some media and messaging strategy to help you win this election. So, just by way of reminder, as we wrap this up, I'm going to name names. So, county commissioners that we need to send in the next chapter of their lives: Linda Heath, Gunnar Mom, Troy Thompson. These folks are conservative in name only for the most part. In the House, Lee Filer, Rob Geringer, Landon Brown, Bob Nicholas, Justin Forstrom, J.D. Williams. Again, I like some of these folks. Like I said, this isn't about that. This is about principles, purpose. If you're running as a Republican, as a conservative, your votes should reflect that. These people, their votes don't reflect that. Evie Brennan, Tara Nethercott, Jared Olson, Stephen Pappas, who, of course, we have Mr. Reiner running. I'd love to see a better conservative running there, and Taft Love. These are the folks, you guys, that we need to work on replacing in these positions in Laramie County and then Goshen Platte counties. I didn't mention a lot of other names like Ann Lucas, Gary Brown, Steve Johnson, some of these other folks that are in office, but they score relatively high. Not as high as I would like, to be honest. A lot of these Freedom Caucus folks, they score below 70% when it comes to the U.S. Constitution. So I would like to see them improve that. And to that note, I'm going to remind you of what I just said. It is possible, folks, to support the United States Constitution. Look at his voting record. And also be very high in conservative values, Mr. Pendergraft here. And I use him as an example because a lot of people tell me, well, Joseph, it's just not possible to do both, to be a constitutionalist and to be a Freedom Caucus member, or to be a conservative, or you can't have the best of both worlds, but you can. And Mr. Pendergraft actually proves that in the way that he votes and the way that he does. I'll go ahead and share this. I should have shared that window so you guys could see. He's very, very high on the conservative values, conservative core, and he's also 100% on the Constitution and the way that he votes. So don't tell me it's not possible. Most of the Freedom Caucus members in Laramie County, they're below that 70% threshold that I personally like. So if we look up, let's say, we'll look up Ann Lucas, for instance. Where is she? 67% Constitution. Now, she does pretty well here, though, on the Conservative Caucus. She's right here. So really good there. So I see room for improvement when it comes to constitutionalism. But I did notice that most of the Freedom Caucus members do tend to fall in that 60% range when it comes to the Constitution itself. So with that, this has been Laramie County, Goshen, Platte County. Folks that are running with R's after their names but aren't really conservative, from county commissions to the legislature. And these are the things that we need to have. We need true grassroots. These words don't really mean anything. Folks that want to run against the establishment independently or whatever, to remove some of these folks from office. We got to do it. So tomorrow we're going to talk about, let's see, what counties. We're going to be doing this every day for a while, you guys. And so we're going to be talking tomorrow. I know we're going to be doing Albany County tomorrow. I think we might be doing Natrona County tomorrow as well. Let's see. Let's take a look real quick. Let's see. We're going to do Carbon and Natrona counties on Friday, actually. Tomorrow, we're going to do Albany, Converse, and Iowa counties. And we're going to talk about it. We're just going to go through these candidates. And I want to know who's running, and let's support those folks. We're going to beat out the establishment. My preference is that you're not a part of a caucus, that you're not even GOP, that you're just a human being that's not a part of any echo chamber, and you just want to represent the people. That's what the people of Wyoming need. So with that, I'm going to wrap up this show. Have any questions, have any comments, reach out to me. Take care. And then I think I might actually be doing the show from home tomorrow. We'll see. God bless you guys. Bye for now.
Granddad bowed his head in silence, calloused hands. The prayer was short. Thank you for this pot of beans and the neighbors down the road. He traded the last jar in the cellar for a stranger's broken day. Didn't ask who they were voting for, just helped hitch up their hay. They didn't have to be right, they just did what was right. Saddled up and rode together through the hard pan, through the firelight. When a storm hit one old farmhouse, every hand in town was there. They believed in rest and repair, mended fences 'cause they cared. Grandma said 2 extra places at some point. We're all in need. Shared the gossip with a chuckle, but she'd show up when you'd bleed. When a barn burned down at midnight, you could see the land glow. Men and women side by side in their Sunday work clothes. They didn't have to be right, they just did what was right. Saddled up and rode together through the hard pan, through the firelight. When a storm hit one old farmhouse, every hand in town was there. They believed in rest and repair, mended fences 'cause they cared. Now we're screaming from our corners on a glowing little screen, throwing stones at second cousins over things we've never seen. But I remember muddy boots stacked beside that Bible chair. The grit, the cold, the quiet nod. Come on in, we'll meet you there. They didn't have to be right, they just did what was right. Saddled up and rode together through the hard pan, through the firelight. When a storm hit one old farmhouse, every hand in town was there. They believed in rest and repair, mended fences 'cause they cared.